Cosmic Genesis Chronicle Chapter 2, Ancient Cage and Princess Seraphina. Holy crap! What the hell is that? Kalen exclaimed, his adrenaline surging. He nearly dropped his compressed biscuit, tasting like century-old wax, into the cockpit console. No way he could have expected that sudden black shadow. It felt like prepping to win dinner and then suddenly being jumped by a ghillie suit-wearing camper, complete with a dramatic soundtrack. Taking a closer look, the shadow wasn't some ferocious cosmic monster, but a mist. A black, constantly writhing mist, shaped like a giant claw, aimed directly at Kalen's face. Ai Xiao Xin, what is this thing? A virus? A new type of weapon? Or the lingering resentment of some poor explorer who kicked the bucket? Kalen asked, his words tumbling over each other as he nimbly maneuvered the stardust to evade the mist claw's attack. Scanning. Scan complete. Analysis, unknown energy aggregate, highly aggressive, suspected to be formed from a high concentration of negative emotions. Danger level, high-medium, immediate retreat advised. Xiao Xing's response was as calm and objective as ever, but Kalen could detect a hint of panic in her tone. High-medium? So, you're telling me it's tougher than that space roach king I ran into last time? Kalen's lips twitched. That roach king had almost chewed through his ship's toilet, and this mist claw looked even worse. But, if it thinks it can catch Kalen Thorne, it's got another thing coming. A glint of cunning flashed in Kalen's eyes. He was a rising star in the interstellar exploration scene. How could he be scared off by a mere mist? He yanked the control stick, sending the stardust into a neat drift, dodging the mist claw's direct assault. Then, he unleashed the ship's full firepower, the two solitary laser cannons firing wildly at the mist claw. Pew 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 pew. Laser beams poured towards the mist claw as if they were free, but the effect was minimal. The mist claw paused only momentarily, before continuing to close in on Kalen, as if the lasers were merely tickling it. What the hell? This thing is immune to laser fire. Kalen was utterly stunned. Laser cannons were standard equipment on starships, more than enough to deal with most space creatures, but this mist claw was completely unscathed. Looks like he ran into a real hard case. Kalen, I recommend using an EMP electromagnetic pulse bomb. It might disrupt its energy structure, Xiao Xing suggested. EMP? Where am I supposed to get an EMP? This heap doesn't even have a toilet, let alone an EMP. Kalen was on the verge of a meltdown. He should have brought more gear with him. Now it's a classic case of realizing you should have studied harder and that your lack of equipment could get you killed. With the mist claw closing in, Kalen was running out of options. He gritted his teeth, deciding to go all in. Xiao Xing, initiate the ship's self-destruct sequence. Kalen roared. What? Kalen, are you crazy? Xiao Xing's voice changed pitch. I'm not crazy. It's the only way. Rather be destroyed than be caught by that mist. Kalen's face was filled with resolve. Countdown initiated. 10, 9, 8. Xiao Xing's voice rang out mechanically. Just as the countdown was about to end, a clear, cold voice suddenly echoed in Kalen's mind. You idiot. Who told you to self-destruct? Stop it now. Who's speaking? Kalen was taken aback. He was sure that besides him and Ai Xiao Xing, no one else was in the cockpit. I'm in front of you. Inside that rift. Ram your ship into it. The voice spoke again, with a hint of impatience. Although Kalen didn't know who the speaker was, at that moment, he had no other choice. He took a deep breath, sharply aimed the ship towards the rift, and floored the accelerator. Xiao Xing, cancel the self-destruct sequence. Target, rift. Full speed ahead. Kalen roared again. Acknowledged. Self-destruct sequence cancelled. But Kalen, are you sure about this? This is insane. Xiao Xing's voice was still filled with worry. Insane? That's just my style, Kalen Thorne. A crazy grin spread across Kalen's face. The stardust, like a reckless madman, plunged straight into the rift. This time, Kalen didn't feel a violent jolt, but rather, he felt like he passed through a layer of soft film, and then, a wide expanse opened up before him. He found himself in a massive underground cavern. Countless glittering crystals hung from the cavern ceiling, illuminating the entire space as bright as day. In the center of the cavern stood a giant crystal cage, and within the cage, imprisoned, was a person. It was a woman, a breathtakingly beautiful woman. She had long silver hair that cascaded over her shoulders like a waterfall, and a pair of purple eyes that sparkled like gems. Her delicate features looked as though they had been meticulously sculpted by the hand of God. She wore an ancient magical robe, somewhat worn, but still unable to hide her noble and elegant aura. Seeing Kalen's ship crash in, the woman was initially stunned, then a look of surprise appeared on her face. Who are you? Kalen was stunned by the woman's beauty. He had never seen such a beautiful woman, almost as if she had stepped out of a fairy tale. I am Seraphina Lyra, princess of this magical empire, the woman spoke slowly, her voice as melodious and pleasing as a clear spring. Who are you? Why have you come here? Seraphina Lyra? Princess of a magical empire? Holy crap! Did I just time travel? Kalen's brain couldn't quite process it. He just wanted to go exploring. How did he run into a princess? I am Kalen Thorne, an interstellar explorer. Kalen began to explain why he had come here, suddenly remembering that he didn't know who the Seraphina Lyra was. What if she was a bad guy? Then he'd be walking into a trap. Ahem. I am a special envoy from the Interstellar Alliance, ordered to investigate the situation at the Karsa ruins, Kalen said quickly, making up a lie. Interstellar Alliance. Special envoy. A hint of doubt flashed in Seraphina Lyra's eyes, but she didn't pursue the question. Instead, she sighed and said, forget it, no matter who you are, the fact that you have come here means you and I are destined. Can you help me leave this place? I have been trapped here for centuries. Centuries? Kalen was shocked again. This princess has been trapped here for centuries. What the heck is this Karsa ruins? That's right, ever since my empire was destroyed by evil forces, I have been imprisoned in this crystal cage, unable to escape. Sadness filled Seraphina Lyra's eyes. Evil forces? What kind of evil forces could imprison a princess of a magical empire here for centuries? Kalen's curiosity was thoroughly piqued. It was an ancient and evil void god. Its name is Omega. Seraphina Lyra's voice trembled, as if merely mentioning the name could fill her with fear. Omega. Kalen silently noted the name in his heart. He knew he had gotten himself into serious trouble this time. Special Envoy Kalen Thorne, can you help me leave this place? As long as you can save me, I will definitely repay you. Seraphina Lyra looked at Kalen with hopeful eyes. Looking at Seraphina Lyra's pitiful appearance, Kalen's heart filled with sympathy. Although he knew that rescuing this princess might involve great danger, he couldn't refuse her request. All right, Princess Seraphina Lyra, I promise you, I will do everything I can to save you. Kalen took a deep breath, his eyes filled with determination. However, before that, I need to understand the structure of this crystal cage first. AI Xiao Xing, scan the crystal cage and analyze its weaknesses. Kalen turned around and began to study the giant crystal cage. Scanning. Scan complete. Analysis. The crystal cage is composed of high-purity magical crystals, possessing extremely strong defensive capabilities, but its energy core is located at the top of the cage. If the energy core can be destroyed, the imprisonment may be lifted. Xiao Xing gave a professional analysis. Energy core at the top? Good. Then let me try. A glint of excitement flashed in Kalen's eyes. He wasn't the kind of person who only paid lip service. Since he decided to save her, he had to take action. Kalen leapt up onto the top of the stardust, then pulled out the laser pistol from his waist, aimed it at the top of the crystal cage, and pulled the trigger. Pew 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 pew. Laser beams rained down on the top of the crystal cage, but the effect was still minimal. The laser beam struck the surface of the crystal, leaving only shallow marks, unable to shake it in the slightest. What the hell? This crystal is too hard. Kalen was about to cry. The defensive power of this crystal cage was even thicker than his skin. Kalen, ordinary laser attacks are ineffective. You need to use more powerful energy to break it, Seraphina Lyra reminded him. More powerful energy? Where am I supposed to get more powerful energy? Kalen was about to despair. He felt like a child with a toy gun, facing an unbreakable wall, with no way to start. Perhaps, you could try fusing the two types of energy you encountered in the rift earlier, Serafina Lyra suddenly said. Fuse energy? You mean Qianhuan energy and magic energy? Kalen was stunned. He was too busy dodging the Mist Claw's attacks earlier, and didn't have time to study those two types of energy. Now, after hearing what Serafina Lyra said, he suddenly remembered that he seemed to have absorbed some of that energy. That's right, both types of energy contain powerful forces. If you can fuse them together, you might be able to create a miracle. Serafina Lyra looked at Kalen with expectant eyes. Create a miracle? Good. Then let me create a miracle for you to see. Kalen took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and began to try to mobilize the two types of energy within his body. He didn't know if he could succeed, but he knew that this was his only hope.
Let's stop reading the novel here. See you in the next chapter. Please follow us.